So, moving right along, we're going to touch on, this is again something we don't normally talk about much here on the channel because it's a little on the political side, but we're going to do it anyway. Hello nerds! Thank you for joining me for your pop culture nerd news right here on The Week in Nerdom. This is my channel. I am generally nerdy, and in today's episode, we have honestly a bunch of stuff to cover. A little bit more than I anticipated, but considering we only had one episode last week, that makes sense. We're going to be talking about some Halo rumors, some Fallout Guys rumors. We have a bunch of trailers to go over, some new music videos to talk about in the music section. We have a lot of stuff to cover, so without any further ado, don't forget to hit the thumbs up to let the algorithm gods know that what I'm doing here is legit, and let's jump into the intro. Housekeeping for today's episode. Once again, definitely not sponsored, but I am a fan of Monster, and they've got a promotion going on if you are an Apex Legends player. This is my first can with the Apex Legend thing, so if it pans out, I'll let you know in the next episode. But yeah, Monster, zero sugar, zero ultra white can. It's actually quite good, as long as you're okay with sugar-free sweeteners, but whatever. So there we are. But all right, let's get to the actual housekeeping for today. The announcement with last episode where we are getting ever closer to our break period for the year where I, work on the things for the next season and such. I've also, just to remind everybody, I've also recently been in a car accident, and that is proving to be much more of a time suck than I wanted it to be. That's going to lead us right into November, it looks like, which is why the last 2 weeks have not had 2 episodes, because I'm dealing with insurance companies and, it is 10 times more of a headache than you can even imagine. If you have never been in this situation, pray that you never are. So that being said, I have that going on. I have a bunch of other things in my personal life that have just kind of led to this point of 1 episode a week until we hit November, at which point we will be only doing rumors episodes once again, and I'll be doing work on the channel and getting things ready again for the next season of all of the shows. So all of that is just a long way of saying thank you, nerds, for being patient with me. I do appreciate your faces. We do have a bunch of shout outs to get to, so we're not going to do that just yet. We are going to talk ever so briefly once again, though, about the push. So the push is the social media push. We are still working on getting up to 1,000 followers or subscribers or whatever on multiple outlets, and it is going about as good as I had hoped, so thank you very much, nerds. So we are going to add a little bit of interactivity to the push. So when you are on the Twitter or the Instagram or even Getter, because they use hashtags similarly to Twitter, but if you are on any platform that I as well am on and you have a piece of news that you think I should cover, then we're starting a new hashtag. If you've been following me on any of those platforms, then you've seen this hashtag in use recently, but it is generally nerdy news is the hashtag if you have a news piece that you want me to cover. If you have just a video that you think is great, music video you think I should review briefly in an episode or do a reaction to or something along those lines, then generally nerdy vids is the hashtag there. If you have some killer cosplay, because now that Comic-Con is a thing again, there is going to be plenty of cosplay. I actually just did a cosplay photo shoot, which I did not have this epiphany previous to the most recent post for that, but there are a bunch more images coming from that photo shoot. That is going to be generally nerdy fun. So if it's just something great that you want to share with the generally nerdy community, that's the hashtag to use. Or again, cosplay, because we do a lot of cosplay here on the channel. And then also, I am going to probably be the one that uses this one the most. If you have something that you think needs a review that is not necessarily a music video, but just other, comic book that you just think the community really needs to be a part of, then that hashtag is generally nerdy reviews. Again, you know how hashtags work. Those are the 4 that are going to be, well, at least one of those is going to be in every single post that I make. And so if you guys want to interact that way, then those are the 4 hashtags to use. Again, to remind you, generally nerdy news, generally nerdy vids, generally nerdy fun, and generally nerdy reviews. All right, so all of that out of the way. Sorry, I have many different notes and things. That brings us to the part where everybody loves the most of the housekeeping section, and that is shout-outs. So it is not quite as large this time, unfortunately. That's partially due to, again, all of the other things that are getting in the way of the show. I have not been as active this last week on the social medias, and it shows. But we do have a couple of things to cover. So, shoutouts for today. We are starting with YouTube. Spoogy McWrath is a new follower, and also Nightingale_Jake. You are actually a TikTok follower. That is your TikTok name. I do apologize. I saw that I got a few more follows on the YouTube, but YouTube does not show me if you follow me specifically. They'll show me that I have a new follow, but they don't show me specifically anyone's name if you have your information set to private. So I am assuming Nightingale Jake, that is why I did not see your specific follow. But thank you for the follow anyway, because I did see the numbers go up. So much, much appreciated. Then we're going to switch over to Instagram follows. We have Amber.8039. I'm pretty sure you're a porn bot, but if you're not, thanks for the follow. Also, the Thesapodcast followed me back because I found them and followed them. So thank you, nerds, for following me there. And then we have TikTok shoutouts. TikTok shoutouts are as follows, and I'm going to mispronounce some of these names. I do apologize. We have VN Sintron. VNK sorry, 228. Thank you for the follow. We have Call of Duty Girl Hub, Kuzato, Jacob Manning 35, Billy Bob 5099983, Ace Knight 123, User 124515270, Luna Boom 5, and then also User 4846393651695. Thank you, nerds, for the follow. That's probably going to have to get cut into 2 separate videos, but whatever. So I know I said before that I wasn't going to say the user numbers, the generic automatic assigned number for people who have not set up their TikTok accounts properly, but there was one that specifically asked me to do the shout out because it is a follow, and I do apologize. That one should have been in the previous episode, but again, things and stuff being the way they are. So that is housekeeping. Let's get into the news. Okay, so music section, starting things off, we have no follow-ups, no corrections. We are going to do reaction review things very briefly. First on the docket for the brief reaction reviews are Ice Nine Kills Funeral Derangements. So, reacting to this video, this is the song that I have wanted Ice Nine Kills to make ever since I found this band. There are sections that they've done previously that are fantastic. There are sections that they've done previously that I really feel like they're still trying to find their sound. I'm very specifically talking about the aggressive sections. They've done pretty well up until this point, and their melodic sections in songs, they really are weak, I guess is a succinct way of putting it. This new Funeral Derangement song is the first track that I have listened to off of their newest record, Silver Scream Part 2. I don't remember the subtitle for the record, I apologize, but it is impressive, to say the least. Modern metal, modern whatever subgenre you want to put this in for metal definitely needs to take note rather, because this song I was reminded very, very briefly of Slipknot in the way this track starts. If you remember back to Slipknot's self-titled record, Sick, starts really balls out and in your face, and that is exactly what Ice Nine Kills is doing here. There is definitely those melodic sections of this song. The first time you get into that is actually a little bit deeper than expected, so that was fun playing with the form a little bit, but the first section starts off a little weak, but they definitely grow into it. It is like they're taking the notes that they need to be taking and growing as artists, and it's great. If you are into modern metal, this is definitely a track you need to be listening to. Watch the video because their videos are fantastic. We even get Bill Moseley has a little cameo at the end of the video. Chop Top himself from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Yeah, there is a lot of fantastic about this song. As far as the production goes, everything sounds beautiful to my producer's ear. I wouldn't honestly change a thing. I would change a little bit of the performance in the vocals, but that again is probably more of a style thing for my taste than anything else, but definitely worth a listen. Our next song on the docket for review reaction quickies is Aaron Lewis. We have Am I the Only One, the infamous song that he recorded and released a little while ago. We talked about it briefly on the channel, so let's talk about the actual song. Let's get into the reaction because it's the first time I've listened to it, probably the first time a lot of you have listened to it. So Aaron Lewis, for those that don't know, is also the vocalist for the band Stained. This is not a song that is directly associated with that band, so you can get those comparisons kind of out the window a little bit. Aaron's solo work is a little more country, a little more Americana, I guess is more appropriate. So this song is definitely in that vein. Is not quite as over the top as I was led to believe. If you want to read the other reviews without listening to the song, and this is going to be a theme throughout today's episode, if you listen to the song and then you read the reviews, you'll understand who's trying to sell which narrative. But if you just read the reviews, then you're not going to understand. It's relatively understated. He doesn't come out and say, liberals are crazy in those words. He paints that picture for sure, but he's not some crazy conservative nut job necessarily in the lyrics of this song. I want to be very specific. As far as the performance goes, it's lackluster. The production is pretty good. I mean, he is Aaron freaking Lewis. I would imagine he has some pretty good producer friends by this point. But as far as like just the overall feel of the song, it's boring. It meanders. It kind of goes nowhere. There is a bit of a crescendo towards the end where he really flexes those vocal muscles and shows us that he actually has them still, and that is fantastic. Regardless of what you think about the words coming out of his mouth, the tones coming out of his mouth are beautiful, are fantastic. So would I recommend this song? Not necessarily. You have to really be into it just to hear the awesome that is Aaron Lewis's voice. If you're coming for some sort of message, even if you agree with his message, you're probably going to be let down. Our next song on the docket for micro review / reactions is a band called Thought Crimes. This song is called Wedlock Waltz. The reason we're doing this song is because their drummer was the last drummer to play for Dillinger Escape Plan. So he's got some big shoes to fill with this new band. Kind of making that association seems to be the way they want us to go. There is definitely a lot of chaos going on in this song. There are sections of the song. There's, I wouldn't necessarily call it a chorus, but there is something resembling structure that they revisit from time to time that definitely has a groove that you get into and you can nod your head or bang your head, however you want to do it. But the majority of this song is cacophonous, to say the least, which is not entirely a bad thing. I am going to be a little bit critical of the fact that everything present in this track again, I've only listened to it once, so I could be off on my counts, but it seems that everything on this track is done in 4/4 time. Now, somebody coming with the pedigree of Dillinger Escape Plan only doing 4 on the floor beats is a little disappointing. Quality is definitely there in spite of that fact. But again, if you're looking for something that you have to count along in order to keep up, this is going to let you down in that respect. As far as the performances go, the performances of the band are solid. Everything is present. Everything is doing what it is supposed to be doing. Even in the crazy cacophony, you can still hear, and this is also speaking to the production of the track, you can still hear the bass and both guitars and vocals and all of the drums. I just feel like the drums are the one of the things, again, aside from the general 4/4 timing, the drums are kind of one of the things that didn't really do as much for me as I felt like it should have. So, recommend this song? Sure. If you're looking to scratch a Dillinger Escape Plan itch, this will very likely scratch that itch. It's probably going to take a couple of listens in order to really get to that point, but as it stands, yeah, I would probably recommend listening to this song if you're down for that kind of mathcore, melodic hardcore kind of stuff. All right, new music out of the way. Let's switch over to tours. At this band, actually, I was wearing their hoodie earlier today and got stopped. What is Clutch? What is Psychic Warfare? Sir, will you please? Clutch is a band. They're amazing. They're from Maine, and Psychic Warfare is not their last record, but 2 records ago. Anyway. So Clutch, tour, they are finishing up their tour, and the reason we're talking about them in the tour section is because their final 3 dates on this tour have been postponed because of the coof, as you would expect at this point. So, they have already been rescheduled. If you had tickets to those final dates, the dates were in Vermont, New Hampshire, or Washington, D.C., then hold on to your ticket. They will honor the existing tickets. They are, I believe, all 3 shows are still at the same venues. They've just pushed them back to January. So they pushed them back from October, early November into beginning of January. So you can find a link down in the description. If you still haven't got your tickets, then you have plenty of time to do so. That is all we have for tours. We briefly have a new news piece that has to do with Slipknot. Slipknot, Corey Taylor says in a recent interview that they are so close to releasing new music, it's probably going to happen within the month. That's really all we got there. I just had to share it because I'm kind of excited to see what happens on a new record for Slipknot, because I really, really dug the last record so much. They can only go up, I feel like, because it sounded like they were still growing with the 2 new members, whatnot, and so forth. So, yeah, pretty excited about that. That's all we got for music, though, nerds. Gaming and tech. Honestly, this is a lacking section. I'm not gonna lie. We have one piece, but it is kind of noteworthy piece because Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, put out by Squaresoft. I honestly thought that Square was only putting this out on the PlayStation. Really don't know why. So if I said something to you about it potentially only coming out on PS5, then I apologize, because it is legitimately coming out on the Xbox consoles as well. We have a release date as well as a final launch trailer. That release date is October 26th. So you got about 2 weeks before this game launches. And yeah, definitely go check out the trailer because it'll do a lot for you. But that's all we've got for gaming and tech. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Comic books and books is also a short section. We only have one piece here, but it is a huge piece, I would venture to say. Saga, the crazy epic ongoing comic book series brought to you by Brian K. Vaughn and Fiona Staples, is coming out with its episode 55, issue 55. I always say the wrong one. I think they're referring to each issue as an episode, so that might be where the confusion is coming from, but whatever. It is going to be 44 freaking pages, so it's going to be huge. Coming from Image Comics, January 26th of 2022 is the release date. So comic book nerds unite. This is awesome. That's all we've got for this section though. TV streaming, we're going to jump right in head first. We have a couple of follow-ups. First follow-up we're talking about is the new Masters of the Universe Netflix series that everyone loved to hate a couple of months ago. In case you forgot, there is still a second part of this season. That second part finally has a release date, and that release date is November 23rd. That's all we're really going to say about that. So, moving right along, we're going to touch on, this is again something we don't normally talk about much here on the channel because it's a little on the political side, but we're going to do it anyway. This is a follow-up technically on Dave Chappelle because, you know, we announced that he was going to be doing the new stand-up as soon as it was made known, and Chappelle is probably one of the, if not the greatest comedian ever, so it bears talking about. Name of the special is The Closer. It is on Netflix. If you have not yet watched it, then please do so. Don't believe the hype. And that is what we're going to be talking about ever so briefly. So, reasonably nerdy caps on. Let's get into this ever so briefly. So, first and foremost, anyone who is complaining about this Netflix special has not watched it. Or they're being so dishonest as to be straight up lying to you, because Dave Chappelle is very careful to make sure that you know, as you are the viewer, that anything he says, he makes fun of everyone possible. So the fact that he makes jokes about other groups of people and nobody's making any sort of comment on that is kind of telling. But also, there is so much reverence given to the people in the specific community that he is being accused of singling out. There is so much reverence given to the people who belong to that community, who exist in his life, who matter to him, which is kind of the way most of us do and or should conduct our lives in general. It does not, nor should it matter what group a person belongs to. You should judge each person individually on their own merits. And that is what Mr. Chappelle is doing. Yes, he does make some generalized statements about certain groups of people, but that is strictly for comedy. Dave Chappelle is not a hateful person. Dave Chappelle is not a malicious person. He does not wish death upon anyone, as far as I know, not even Candace Owens, whom he's had some very colorful conversations in the metaverse, if you will. So, that being said, there is a point that we need to make about the people who are accusing him of the things. So there have been three, I wouldn't call them directors because that's part of the thing that we're discussing. There have been three employees, we'll put it that way, employees of Netflix who have recently been suspended, not fired, suspended from Netflix due to things that aren't necessarily directly related to the Dave Chappelle special, even though they have made comments about the Dave Chappelle special and how it's horrible and so on and so forth. So the reason these employees have been suspended from employment with Netflix is not because they made tweets. In fact, Netflix is very vocal about encouraging their employees to tweet to to speak their minds publicly. The reason these employees have been suspended is because they tried to get into a meeting that they were not allowed into. They are not part of the upper echelons of Netflix, and this meeting was only for those people. Therefore, they got suspended. Again, not directly related to the Dave Chappelle special, though it is rumored that they were there to complain about the special. That is not the reason they were suspended. So, the reasonable thing here is watch the Dave Chappelle special and come to your own conclusions. Also, stop living in your echo chamber. Go listen to the actual words being said by those who you're supposed to disagree with, and then see why you may or may not actually disagree with them. Okay, reasonably nerdy cap off. We're going to get back into the news. So, in trailers, we're going to do some more reactions real quick because we have a few trailers to talk about. First up on the trailers reactions is the new Lock and Key. The October 22nd is when the new season starts. This new trailer is I'm of two minds on this trailer. First off, I haven't read all of the Lock and Key books, so I could have missed something, but from what I have read, you don't make keys yourself. The keys exist. They're made by somebody else. So the main characters in the story find the keys. They don't make the keys. So that was really weird. Spoiler warning too, I guess. But the other half of my mind is going, yeah, okay, so they're taking a couple of liberties because it's their version of this story. And so far, I really like their version of this story, so I think I'm gonna allow it. It definitely serves its purpose. It makes you interested in wanting to watch this new season, so congratulations on that. You don't have a whole lot of time to wait because, again, October 22nd is when this one launches. Our next trailer reaction thing has to do with the Hannah series on Amazon Prime. Hannah, this is going to be season 3, launching November 24th. They will be adding Ray Liotta to the cast. Ray Liotta is a fantastic actor, so I'm very interested to see that. This trailer also very much serves its purpose, though I feel like to a little bit of a lesser degree. I feel like this is a fairly generic action trailer, doesn't do enough to show people who haven't watched up to now to let them know exactly why they should watch, aside from the fact the cute blonde girl equals badass. So I feel like this one is not as effective necessarily as the last one we talked about, but either way, the new season of Hannah looks to be like it is going to be a little bit more of the same. The addition of Ray Liotta, I think, is the biggest attraction on top of what we already got from the first 2 seasons. We also have Blade Runner Black Lotus. This is not only a trailer discussion, but also we have the release date for the new anime. November 13th, the first 2 episodes will be launching on the Crunchyroll and Adult Swim. The first trailer for Black Lotus was a little underwhelming. This new trailer kind of throws a couple of member berries at you because it definitely feels pretty familiar. If you are a fan of the Blade Runner series, then there is definitely a lot to latch on to here. If you are not familiar with the Blade Runner series, I feel like this might fall a little flat for you because A, it's in Japanese, so you're gonna have to read it, but B, it's a little too vague. Like, a trailer should be vague, but this is a trailer for an entire season of a series. I feel like you could have given us just a little bit more to go on so that people who, again, are not already installed in the fan base could be a little bit more intrigued by this. So effective, sure. Better than the first trailer? Absolutely. Is it going to do its job and bring in a new audience? Probably not, unless you just really like anime and you want to try something new anyway. So there's that one. Our next trailer is the Expanse, the final season, season 6. This trailer definitely works on all levels. We've got fantastic action going on, a lot of just enough information to get us interested, but not enough information that we feel feel like we know everything that happens in this season. Also worth noting, final season for the series, so it looks like they're trying to go out on a definite high note. This new trailer, I don't know what else to say without gushing for too long, so we're just gonna leave it at that. This one definitely does what it needs to do and is absolutely worth a watch. And then let's get into the Shenmue trailer. So this series, honestly, is kind of being announced as we get the trailer, also from Crunchyroll, also going to be on Adult Swim. The release date is not set necessarily. It will be sometime next year, though, so 2022 is when we're going to get the Shenmue. The animation, I believe, is the proper title, Shenmue the animation. So the animated Shenmue series. And also, not 100% this is a series, because they don't say that necessarily, but there is enough cuts in here, there is enough scenes that they reference that it does appear to be from multiple episodes. No idea how many episodes are going to be, but it is a thing that is happening. Honestly, I was a passive fan of the first game, and I never played the second game nor the third game, so I'm not the biggest Shenmue fan, though this trailer for this anime, I should say, has me intrigued, has me wanting to play through the game, so I know how much of the game story is in the anime, and if they're, two separate things. So definitely has me intrigued as a passive fan. If you are not familiar with this already, again, it doesn't seem like something that is doing the job of bringing in a new audience. Is it going to be really cool to see these characters on screen that we've that the fan base has been following for over 20 years at this point? Absolutely. Again, I feel like these trailers are not bringing in new audience, so I don't know how well the season is going to do. All right, so all of that being said, let's get into actual news for this episode. Our first piece of news is that 90s show. No, this is not what you're thinking unless you've already seen the headline. This is a legitimate spin-off from the cast of that 70s show. Remember when that 70s show was at its peak, they tried to do another spin-off series, quote unquote, that was called That 80s Show, and it went down in a blaze, not even of glory, just a giant fiery death, because it was no good, because it wasn't directly tied to the thing in which it was supposed to be spinning off from. Yes, I do know that there were, some interconnected characters, kind of, but really the series existed on its own, and that was probably their primary issue, because they've spent so long creating all of these characters on that 70s show that we all kind of grew to love, and then none of them were in the spin-off, and that's kind of how spin-offs work. So yeah, didn't really go anywhere. But this is not going to be that. This series is going to be on Netflix, because Netflix apparently bought the rights. So it's going to be on Netflix, and has Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp as producers, as well as reprising their roles as Red and Kitty from the original That 70s Show series. Red and Kitty are now grandparents. Their granddaughter, Leia, go figure, comes to spend a summer with them, and hijinks ensue is basically the synopsis of the season. Sounds like they are heading in a good direction. Also, there is word that Netflix is trying to get, at the very least, cameos from any of the previous cast members that they can. So we are very likely to see everyone but Hyde at least do some sort of cameo in the series. Whether or not they become a series regular or a series guest star at any point probably very much remains to be seen, depending on how well it does. Assuming first season does well, they pick it up for a second season, then they'll probably have a little bit more traction with that original cast. But either way, we still have direct tie-ins to everyone in that cast. So even if those actors are not present on screen, their presence will be felt, because, one of the primary characters is going to be the daughter of Eric and Donna. So, there you go. All of that is to say, I'm kind of excited about it. Let's move right along, shall we? Next up on TV streaming news, we have another Mike Flanagan series has been announced. Mike Flanagan, for those that don't know, for whatever reason, if you're watching this show for any length of time, we've talked about Flanagan very recently. Flanagan is the guy who brought us the Haunting of series on Netflix, so Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, also just finished up the Midnight Mass series to pretty good response. I'm still kind of riding the fence on those last 2 episodes, but everything up until those last 2 episodes is fantastic horror, also, Mike Flanagan is the guy who brought us Dr. Sleep, the movie, so I don't know, kind of take with that what you will. He is now doing the Fall of the House of Usher, so he's dipping his toes into the Edgar Allan Poe pool, which could be amazing and could be kind of hot garbage. Still remains to be seen. I do trust Flanagan is going to do something fantastic with this, especially because it sounds like he's going to weave other elements from other Edgar Allan Poe stories to kind of beef this one up a little bit to make it last the entire length of a series because, or a season rather, because if you remember, Fall of the House of Usher is a short story, and so kind of could be potentially difficult to stretch that into anything more than maybe 3 episodes. Sounds like it is going to be at least 6, though I'm pretty sure I heard 8 at one point. So somewhere between 6 and 8 episodes for Fall of the House of Usher from Mike Flanagan. I'm on board. Let's move on. Our next piece of news has to do, honestly, I thought this one was rumor until multiple other sources were talking about it as fact. And then I saw the actual announcement with the people attached. So, Agatha Harkness is getting her very own Disney Plus series. This is confirmed to be happening. The WandaVision spinoff will feature Kathryn Hahn coming back as the titular character, though the title of the series has not been decided on at this point, I would imagine. It is probably going to be something along the lines of just Agatha or Harkness or, something. So, Kathryn Hahn will be coming back as Agatha Harkness, and Jack Schaefer will be returning as head writer for the series. He also was head writer on WandaVision, so all of the tentacles of all of the things are interweaving, and that's pretty awesome. We're moving on. Our next piece has to do with a little bit more meta on the TV side of things. G4 TV, to be specific, is returning. They went off air in 2013 and have not been a legitimate thing aside from their streaming stuff and online. I believe they still exist in YouTube doing new stuff, but not in traditional television since 2013. They will be coming back to Xfinity, Verizon, Cox Communications, as well as Philo. So if you have any of those services, G4 TV will be coming back as a channel option on November the 16th of this year. So if you were a fan of, I forget, I'm blanking on the names of the shows, but I mean, it was a nerd staple for so long, from 2000, I believe, 5 to 2013 is the length of G4 TV, and now they're coming back, and it sounds like they've taken notes from what the fans want to see in their programming, so hopefully this time it will stick, but only time will tell, and that is what we have for TV streaming. All right, movie section, we have a follow-up. So the Hellraiser movie, the reboot movie that we've been talking about, has finally cast its new Pinhead. And it's an interesting casting choice. They've cast an actor. I'm gonna try and tread very softly around some of this vocabulary, but Jamie Clayton as Pinhead. Jamie Clayton was either born female or has transitioned to female. I am not 100% sure because they keep referring to the actor as a trans actor, though it doesn't seem like there has been any sort of transition. They just identify as trans. So maybe they're just gender fluid, technically born female, but now gender fluid has, come out as gender fluid. I don't know. I'm pleading ignorance on this one. But they have been cast as Pinhead. Clive Barker is going to be involved in the reboot. He is going to be a producer on the project. I don't believe he's part of the writing staff, but he is there to help with the production. Also, because Barker is involved, that bodes well for the project, and they are going back to the original story that started the Hellraiser series. So I don't know exactly the details there. Those are still kind of vague, but we will be keeping tabs on this. Also, we know that it is going to be a free movie on Hulu. So if you already have a Hulu subscription, then you will be getting this movie for free. So there's that. That is our one follow-up. Now we have some more trailers to discuss. First up, trailer reactions for Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. The release of this movie is November 24th. This looks like it is going to be easily better than the Paul W.S. Anderson series. That's without question. I do appreciate what they did there. I do appreciate Mila Jovovich and them trying to do something different with their version of the canon. It fell really flat though, and there's very little about that series of movies that I can even kind of appreciate, and zombie horror is my favorite subgenre of horror, so that's kind of saying something. So already off the bat, we are starting in a better realm because we are in Raccoon City. We're dealing with characters from the games. We're dealing with scenes from the games, locales from the games. We see the freaking mansion in this trailer. I'm so excited about that alone. And there are legit shots from the game in this trailer. Now, I, again, did not ever get super deep into the lore, but I have played every Resident Evil game up until Resident Evil 6, and I love this series. So it looks like they're going to be somebody who's still kind of a casual fan. It looks like they're going to be doing some fan service, at least for people in my situation. Hardcore fans, they hate everything usually, so I don't know how they're going to react to this, but so far so good from my eyes. Next is Psych 3, the new Psych movie. The subtitle for this one is This Is Gus instead of This Is Us. Get it? Because, you know, childish humor, it runs rampant throughout this series. This looks like, so again, passive fan. I've seen, you know, maybe slightly more than a handful of episodes. It's a good series. It has been off the air for some time now. This is the third movie since the series went off the air. This trailer is effective. This trailer makes me want to watch this. It is going to be going directly to Peacock November 18th. So if you are a fan, it's not that far off. We're looking at about a month out before you can watch this. And it looks like it's going to be worth the watch. Probably a good idea that it's going to streaming because it does not seem like it's going to be strong enough to support a theatrical release, but not everything has to go into the movie theaters. Streaming is an okay platform if you're a smaller, low budget thing, then yeah, that's definitely an option. And then our final trailer for the movie section is Tick Tick Boom. So if you are new to watching Generally Nerdy or listening to my voice, then you might not know I am a little bit of a theater nerd, specifically musical theater. I love me some musicals. Yes, I am 100% heterosexual. Thank you for asking, but I love musicals. All right, so Rent being number one in my musical book. There are definitely a lot of flaws with the play. We're not going to get into that. But this new movie is also going to be a musical. The reason I specifically reference Rent is because it is about Jonathan Larson, who is the man who wrote Rent, who brought it to life. And it's a kind of about the story of him bringing Rent to life, of him making it a thing that we can all appreciate. So that's pretty huge to somebody like me who's seen it a million freaking times. But I could literally sing you the entire play right now. I'm not going to because we don't have that kind of time, but super excited that this is a thing. Now, as far as this trailer goes, I feel like there's a couple of liberties that are being taken that are kind of diminishing the person that Jonathan Larson was. Not the least of which being, I'm relatively certain Jonathan Larson was gay. And in this movie, the character of Jonathan Larson is not. So I find that pretty interesting. Again, I could be misremembering his biography, but I'm 90% sure that Jonathan Larson was gay. As a matter of fact, I do know that he died because of complications from AIDS or HIV, or one of the two. Those two being directly related, I don't remember that specific. But I do know that that was the cause of his death. So it seems like they've taken a couple of liberties in order to maybe try and bring in a larger audience than just the theater crowd, but I don't think that was a liberty that was necessary. Especially considering our social climate these days, that was probably something that would have brought in a bunch more people. But I don't know, again, I might be misremembering some of these details. So the trailer doesn't feature really much music at all. There's one or two very slight references to new music that sounds like it could exist in the same universe as Rent, and that is promising. But being that it's a musical, I feel like it should have been a little bit more present in the trailer, unless musicals don't really register very well on scans or whatever, however they kind of gauge these things. So yeah, it kind of, I'm really, really on the fence as to what I'm expecting out of this movie, and if I expect it to be good. I do appreciate that Andrew Garfield is playing Jonathan Larson. I appreciate that Andrew Garfield is a pretty dang good actor, so it is in capable hands. It's just a matter of, and also Lin-Manuel Miranda is the director of this, so this is his proper directorial debut, I believe. Again, I could be misremembering some of these details, but it's in pretty capable hands, so hopefully this will be as good as I want it to be and not as bad as I'm afraid it might be. That being said, that is all of our trailers. So we have one piece of news for this section, and it is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. They have cast their Adam Warlock, and it's Will Poulter. For those of you that don't know, Will Poulter was the guy who was originally cast as the new Pennywise in the reboot It series. He had to give it up because of scheduling conflicts, and then gave it over to the I can't remember, Skarsgård brother that has it now. So he also has done a number of things. He was in the Maze Runner series. He was in comedy with Jennifer Aniston. We Are the Millers, I believe was the name of that one. Accomplished actor. Oh, definitely not the physique of a superhero though, so very interesting casting. James Gunn himself though made the announcement, so you know it's legit. I just don't know how promising this is gonna be. That being said, that's all we've got for news. Okay, rumor mill. We've got some things. First and foremost, we have a confirmation of a video game rumor that we covered a little while back, about a month ago, I believe. Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, is legitimately getting released. This is going to be a collection of the first three Grand Theft Auto games since Rockstar took over the franchise. So Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Those three games are getting put into one package on current generation consoles with, I believe they said updated graphics, but I don't know that for certain. Also didn't write down the release date because I take amazing notes. Either way, we called it. I think I gave this like a 70 or 80% likelihood of being a thing, and it is a thing, so totally called it. Moving right along. Our first actual rumor for this episode has to do with Star Wars. Apparently, Disney is going to be re-releasing the Holy Trilogy as an anime series of movies. Aside from that bit, the other interesting part about this is it's not going to be using the original movies as its frame of reference. It is going to be using the original artwork that those movies then adapted to become what they became. And it's going to be adapting the first movie, at least, is going to be adapting the second version of the script, which had gigantic differences from the final version of the script, which is what they ended up filming. So, pretty interesting. So we kind of have two rumors here. First rumor being that they're going to be doing animated versions of the Holy Trilogy. this seems likely. This seems like they're looking to put more content onto their streaming service. This is content that will get watched. So yeah, sure. I'm going to put this one 70%. Easy call on that one. The other rumor here is that it's going to be kind of dramatically different from the Holy Trilogy that we know. This part of the rumor seems less likely. Are they going to use these things as frames of reference? Sure. Are they going to deviate dramatically from the Holy Trilogy? No. Are they going to, if they do this, are they going to integrate things that have changed in Star Wars canon since Disney took over? Yes. But again, dramatic deviation? Probably not. That is the other rumor, and that likelihood is pretty low. We're going to put that one at about 15%. That might be a little bit too harsh on this, but I feel like that's fairly accurate. All right, so our next rumor has to do, is related to the new Mario animated movie that's coming out from Illumination Studios and Nintendo. But it gets pretty interesting. So, Donkey Kong is the next rumored Nintendo animated movie that is going to be getting made. The rumor does specify that it is not going to be Illumination Studios doing the animation for this one. The animation studio does not get called out specifically in this rumor, so that kind of is a weird thing. We know it's not going to be them, but we don't know who it is going to be. Also, the rumor does specify that it is unclear whether Seth Rogen is going to be revisiting the character as the voice, or if it's going to be a completely new voice cast. That part also is not known to the person who is leaking this information, supposedly. So, likelihood that we are going to be getting Donkey Kong. Again, it seems like we kind of have some integrated rumors. It seems like there's like 3 rumors here, but we'll cover it as 2. So, Donkey Kong getting an animated movie, yeah, bloody likely. There's no reason to think otherwise. So again, we're going to put this one a little bit higher even, 75% likelihood there. As far as who the animation studio is, it's kind of too early to call. I feel like if Illumination does well with the Mario movie, then they're likely to be the ones, because Nintendo already has this relationship established. Why would they go back on it? That seems like a strange thing to me. But maybe they're trying to gather as many animation studios as possible. So there is a little bit of a reason to believe that is slightly more likely. So we'll put that one right about 50% that they might not be using Illumination Studios to make that Donkey Kong movie. That's what we have on that one. Let's move next to Howard the Duck. New rumor, Disney Plus animated series for Howard the Duck. This one comes from a really weak source, but the source does specify that they will officially announce this series on November 12th because reasons, and also that the series will not see the light of day until 2024. Based exclusively on the source of this rumor, I mean, it is kind of likely that they might actually be doing a Howard the Duck series. He has enough of a cult following that, yeah, I can see that happening. But because it's from the source, this is a 4chan source, not gonna lie. Yeah, we're putting this one at, I'm saying 25%, and I feel like that might be a little generous. All right, so our next rumor is another gaming rumor, and it is Fall Guys, the imminent release of Fall Guys on the Xbox console system of consoles, I guess. Is going to happen eventually. That is kind of rumor in and of itself. So this is rumor based on rumor, so we can only go so high. But the rumor that we're talking about specifically right now is that there's going to be Halo-themed skins for the Fall Guys upon launch on the Xbox series of consoles. And that's, yeah, why wouldn't it be? So because this is, once again, rumor based on rumor, we can only go to 50%. And that is exactly where we're going to go because, yeah, that's if it happens, this also will happen. So our final rumor for this episode also has something to do with Halo. There has been reportedly a data mine leak, quote unquote, that is saying that the game is set to launch in December and will be missing a couple of pretty big things. First of all, it's going to be missing a co-op campaign option. And secondly, it will be missing the Forge portion of multiplayer. So, Forge missing, co-op campaign missing. Both of these things will be released down the road for those who adopt early. You will get it eventually, but according to this rumor, it is not going to be launching with the game. Likelihood for this one is pretty high because we know that they've had such development issues creating this thing that it only makes sense that something is going to be missing. And being as these are two relatively minor when considering the overall package and the other things that we are getting, relatively minor being Forge and co-op campaign, I would imagine this is pretty solid information. It is a new source for me, so I can't go based on that. I can, though, say that that sounds like the way this industry works, so we're going to put it right about 70% likelihood that we will be missing not only co-op campaign, but Forge as well once Halo Infinite launches. And that is the end of the rumor mill, nerds! It's also the end of the episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down below. If though you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. Patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place to go support. You can find me on the social medias. Just look for the Nerdy Ninja. Generally Nerdy is the name. All of the things. Thank you very much, nerds. Before we head out, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.